The latest batch of Love is Blind Sweden, there's finally some good news with Millie and Ola. And the good news is that Ola broke up with Millie. Unfortunately, it wasn't going to be Millie to do it. I feel like Millie was trying to manage this relationship, trying to make it work. I don't know why she kept saying like Ola is the best man for her. And yes, they have differences, but ultimately he's the best man for her. And I was like, what? After he called you ugly and basically says that he thinks that you look like a man. What is going on here, Han? Perhaps she was blinded by the sea view of his duplex. Or maybe she genuinely thought that opposites could attract. But this is just beyond. Beyond. And to me, it was just very clear that Ola was just disgusted by Millie the entire time. And it was just so difficult to watch. And Millie would constantly extend an olive branch to Ola. And he just didn't give a fuck because he's a narcissist. And on my last batch of episodes, I said, you know, him speaking about the hair is him planting seeds, and it's going to be more stuff and it's going to get worse, and worse it did. Furthermore, to add, in my last batch of episodes, I also said, you know, it's a red flag when these men have restrictive lifestyles and diets, because often that turns into them wanting to having restrictive ideas of what their partner should be, and often that manifests into them imposing and trying to control attributes of their partner. In the last batch of episodes, he said, I know it's an issue of mine, I've got to let it go. Did he let it go? No, he didn't. He was constantly reminding Millie that he basically thought that she was disgusting for drinking Coca-Cola and basically not having a restrictive diet. Then he starts projecting on her, basically saying that he thinks that people who drink soft drinks are insecure and are basically using these soft drinks and quote unquote addictive foods as comfort foods, as clutches for their insecurities. Like basically saying that, you know, everyday people, because most people are having like a chocolate bar or something, or you know, going out on the town and having a cocktail. He's basically saying that the average population are broken for having a slice of pizza. And he kept bringing it up, and he kept trying to present it in a, well, you can do what you want, but this is just my opinion, this is just how I feel. But that's a lie, because what he was really doing was trying to impose on Millie. He wanted to make Millie self-conscious about not having a restrictive diet. And the goal was for her to maybe, you know, at the very least cut down. But the ultimate goal for Ola is for his partner to be as restrictive as him. But it was very clear that Millie was never going to live that restrictive life. She's very defiant in, you know, you only live once. So I'm going to eat this fucking chocolate. You know, tomorrow is not promised. So yeah, I'm going to put Nutella on my toast. And yeah, absolutely, Horn. Like, you actually only get one life. Eat that Nutella on toast. Then when that didn't work, he decided to bring some random woman, Bea, over. At first, I thought Bea was his mum or something, the way that she was talking about him, or like his sister or something, because he was talking about, you know, Bea's coming over. She's a very important woman in my life. She's a very close friend, a very important woman in my life. And I was like, what? This is weird. So yeah, Bea pulls up, and it seems like this is like an intervention with this cult that he seems to be with, this restrictive food lifestyle. And it just seems like this regime, whatever he's on, this ideology that he's on, is very extreme, because they're likening, I guess you could say, processed food, like sweets, Coca-Cola. I don't know if it extends to gluten. I guess, you know, I guess the rhetoric starts off with processed foods, right? But they treat these processed foods as if they're drugs. Because why are they talking about, you know, you need to be sober from comfort foods, and that you're only indulging in sweets and cigarettes because you're stressed? And then this bear is talking about, like, you know what, I get it, you know, I'm just like you know, I've fallen for the temptation. And she's talking about how she's failed the 12-step program 5 times. And I'm like, 12-step program? I'm thinking they got like rehab for sugar, for eating sweets, for Coca-Cola. And don't get me wrong, I feel like sugar addictions are a thing. I used to have like a really bad sugar addiction. I'm very surprised that I actually have all of my teeth. But like a 12-step program is too much. And she's talking about she failed 5 times. I'm not gonna lie, we can tell Bea. But it was the dramatics for me. And then this Bea woman again, it just kept getting weird with this person because she started declaring her love for Ola, and it seems like she is like in love with Ola and probably wants to pursue a romantic relationship with Ola, but because she has not reached her higher frequency as sugar free and sweet free, and let's be real, Ola's probably not attracted to her. You know, they are just friends. But she's clearly in love with him, and I just felt like this is really weird. And then Millie's there in the background, like crying, and they're having this kind of like heart-to-heart situation. And then at the end of it, Bea's like, oh, you guys are so right for each other. And then in the confessional, Bea was talking about how she actually thinks that Millie will bring balance to him because he is too restrictive, and that she thinks they will be a good match. So overall, I was just thoroughly confused about that whole section. But back to the point of this video, Ola was disgusted by Millie, and I feel like this disgust just manifested into this coldness towards her, and this harshness and this meanness that he kept categorizing as honesty. On the engagement moon, the host asks everybody, if you were to get married today, would you say yes or no? Not everybody answered. And most of the people that did were like, yes, of course I would. And everybody else in the room who clearly knew that they would say no today were smart enough to keep their mouth quiet. Millie wants to go open her mouth to be like, yes, I would say yes to Ola. You know, he's the best man in my life. I would say yes today, yes tomorrow. And I just had embarrassment from that alone because I'm like, Millie, you're doing too much for a man that literally basically told you that you're ugly and you look like a man. Or for him to say publicly in front of everybody, no, he's not there yet. No, if there was a wedding today. Just embarrassing her in front of everyone, like just because. It's very sick. Then he calls his mum to tell her that he's engaged now. Millie's like, oh, did you tell her about me? And he was like, no. What? And he says it with this big smile on his face, and this smile that he does, like, is scary. And then when she basically calls him out for being selfish and basically saying that she feels like it's a red flag, that she's constantly thinking about him and being considerate of him, and he's not doing the same, he's basically like, yeah, I am selfish, and yeah, that's my prerogative. I'm always going to be selfish, and I told you from the beginning that, I love myself and I'm just looking for someone to share life with. And I thought that quote was not hitting right with me in the pods. But, I don't want to be calling people a narcissist too early, but Ola was such an obvious narcissist from the pods. And it just seems like Ola wants a wife that's made in a lab. So yeah, planting all of these seeds did not work. The public humiliation did not work. So Ola does Millie the kindness of breaking things off, and he says that, she's not the right person for him. And he's correct. Because like I said, he needs to go find his wife in a lab somewhere. Millie is clearly distraught about the situation, and I'm just like, girl, this is a blessing. And you know what? I'm really glad to see the sisterhood and all the girls hyping her up at the engagement party. Because yeah, Millie, she's just a girl. She wants to drink Coca-Cola, and Ola's just a weirdo. But let me know your thoughts.